Please close your eyes and take a nap. I'm a congregational rabbi. You'll make me feel right at home. In 1903, the Zionist Club of Odessa, Russia, sent the young writer Chaim Nachman Bialik to Kishinev to report and to witness the first great pogrom of the 20th century. It was a brutal decimation of a living Jewish community motivated by a medieval blood libel. A young Christian boy was murdered. Turned out later it was his uncle who murdered him. But the anti-Semitic press of the town whipped up the Russians, and they came and they destroyed a Jewish community. And Bialik was shattered by what he saw, that such should happen in the new 20th century. A century of science and technology and progress. Bialik was shattered by what he saw, and he went back to Odessa and he wrote a great epic poem, The City of Slaughter. The poem begins with the description of the brutal destruction of the community. Like any medieval martyrology, like the old story of Jews put to the sword, it begins with the decimation of synagogues, of holy men, the rape and defilement of women. And then Bialik turns, and his focus changes completely. And he asks a brutally difficult question. The women were raped and defiled and attacked and despoiled. Where were the men? Where were the men of the Kishinev ghetto? They were hiding. They ran away. They were cowering in their weakness. They prayed for salvation. What kind of people have we become, asks Bialik, if we cannot defend our own? If a man does not rise to protect his wife or his daughter, his sister or his mother, what kind of men, what kind of human beings has exile turned us into? Where is the dignity of the Jewish people? Where is the strength, the courage, the resolve? Where is the soul of this people? Bialik tells the old story, but he demands a new ending. And that's what Zionism is. It's the old story with a new ending. Pogrom, riot, ghetto, murder, rape, decimation, destruction, dayenu. It's enough. A new story. A story of strength and resolve and courage and soul. In 1941 and in 1942 and in 1943, the greatest rabbi in America, the great Stephen S. Wise, the voice of justice, the great Stephen S. Wise came to this city to sit with his friend Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the President of the United States, and to beg for a solution to the Jewish problem, for the protection, for the rescue of Europe's Jews. And he went home with the President's full assurance that every possible measure was being taken to rescue Europe's Jews. Dayenu, an old story, it demands a new ending. In 1943, a group of rabbis, 100 rabbis, including the leaders of the greatest, most religious sects in this country, came to this city and marched from the train station to the Capitol and from the Capitol to the White House. The President would not see them. He met with members of Congress. They met with the Vice President, who assured them that every possible measure would be taken to rescue and protect the refugees from Europe. Dayenu. The same story. It demands a new ending. Some years ago, on a trip to Israel, I had a free afternoon and went to the new Yad Vashem Museum. It's a remarkable experience. And throughout the museum, as you know if you've been, there are these large video screens. And they show the faces of survivors who tell their stories. So the exhibits of the museum are witnessed by the eyewitnesses who were there. And I was sitting there watching a particularly gripping story. And sitting beside me was a young woman soldier, a chayelet. You know that every officer's troop, every officer's class in officer training in Israel's defense forces spends an entire day at Yad Vashem. So they might know what it is they defend. And this beautiful, wonderful young woman is sitting here, and she begins to weep. And she's weeping and crying. So I fished a tissue out of my jacket pocket and handed it to her, asked her, "At beseder, you're okay?" She says, "Leave me alone." Israelis always tell you, leave you alone. "At beseder, bemet." And she looks at me with tear-stained eyes and she says, "Hasipur hazeh, this story, that's my grandfather. That's my grandfather's story. I heard that story growing up. How they rounded up his family and murdered his parents and his sisters, who would have been my aunt. That's my grandfather's story. How they put him in a boxcar and took him like an animal to a camp of death. That's my grandfather's story. How he eluded death on a day-to-day basis and finally was liberated from the camps and came here and began a family. That's my grandfather's story," she said. And I said to her, "Cain, oto sipur, hasof acher." It's the same story, of course, but the ending's different. "Mazeh acher," she said, "what's the difference? You, at, chayelet, katzin, b'chel avir shemedina Yehudit. You, an officer in the Air Force of the Israeli Defense Forces of the newly born Jewish state. You, my dear, you are the difference. It is the same story, but now, finally, it has a different ending." So next week, when we all gather around tables to tell the Seder story, we will tell the old story. B'chol dor v'dorom dim aleinu l'chalotenu. In every generation, they come for us. The Pharaoh, Nebuchadnezzar, Haman, Titus, Chelnitsky, Hitler, Himmler, Goebbels, Goering, Heydrich, and now Ahmadinejad. And now Ahmadinejad, yet another genocidal lunatic who wants to wipe us clean from the earth, a terribly evil man with powerful weapons who thinks he speaks in the name of God. But we will say, not this time, Dayenu. The story will have a different ending. And the world, you know and I know what the world's going to do. The world is going to do what it always does. They will convene meetings and conferences. They will debate and deliberate the measured response. They will say to us, his threats are only rhetoric, posturing, political bluster. Don't take him at his word. Or they will declare with studied analytic dispassion that a nuclear weapon in the hands of Iran may potentially have a destabilizing effect on the equilibrium of Middle Eastern power politics, which may require methods of containment. They will tell us that, and then they will go to sleep soundly and peacefully and quietly, and we will rise up in the middle of the night and say, Dayenu, enough! We can't sleep at night. We can't sleep at night because Ahmadinejad will have a bomb. He kills his own people to protect his own power. We can't sleep at night because we take those words seriously, because those words are tattooed on my father's arm. I can't sleep at night with this man in the world. We can't sleep at night. But here is the pledge. Here is the pledge from the holy city of Washington. If we can't sleep at night, they won't sleep at night. If the nightmare of Ahmadinejad with his nuclear bomb is going to keep us up at night, then Secretary Clinton is going to be up at night with us. Here is the pledge from the city of Washington. If the missiles of Hamas awaken the children of Sderot at night, then Secretary Gates is going to be awakened as well. And if a mother in the city of Jerusalem or Tel Aviv can't sleep at night because her son and daughter patrols the northern border from the maniacs of Hezbollah, then General Jones is not going to sleep at night either. Let us declare with one voice, all of us together, that if a genocidal lunatic with a nuclear weapon steals the dreams of our children and the peace of our children and the future of our children, then the President of the United States is going to pace the halls of Congress and his own home with us as we lie awake at night. I am a rabbi in a large congregation. I have enough tsuras, thank you. But AIPAC is my cause because this is the alarm clock. You and I have the singular power given us by a remarkable accident of American and Jewish and world history. You and I have the remarkable power to deliver a wake-up call to the most powerful people on the planet, to wake up and to know that our people are in pain, that they worry, that they toss and turn. We have that wake-up call, and it's called AIPAC. And there is another reason why AIPAC is my cause. And the reason is because a year ago, if someone called themselves a teabagger, it's because they liked Lipton or Vysotsky. A year and a half ago, Lehman Brothers was a big, powerful bank with a whole bunch of my money. On September the 10th, 2001, no one ever heard of Al-Qaeda or Osama bin Laden or Islamic extreme terrorism. No one ever could tell the difference between Sunnis and Shiites. The crisis that will threaten the state of Israel hasn't happened yet. It hasn't been revealed to us yet. We don't know which direction it's coming from. And when it does come, and it will come, we won't have the time at that moment to build an apparatus of response. We weren't ready in 1939. We weren't ready in 1948. We weren't ready in 1973. But we're ready now because of AIPAC. Because of AIPAC.